Good morning, friends. Hope you are devoting much of your time in your study of financial management because it's a very close. The university is going to conduct the examination in the month of May, by the end of May, or in the starting of June. So it's a necessary, it's a very important. You must have the complete knowledge of the subject. What basically this is the second unit of financial management, and the topic is capital budgeting. After studying this topic, I hope you will be able to achieve your objectives. That how the capital budgeting is done, and completing, you will be able to understand the completely would the basic understanding of investment decisions. After watching this important video, you definitely will be able to advise a company or the firm whether the project is accepted or not with help of giving reasons. Also, you would be able to select a project and know how the project is to be selected using the different capital budgeting techniques. It also will make you learn or understand that why the bigger benefits are preferable to smaller ones, and early benefits are preferable to later benefits. So the basic concept of capital budgeting is how to make the budgets or how to take the investment decisions for the future benefits of the firm. Basically, capital budgeting is based on how the manager behave with the funds and how the budgets are made for the future benefits of the firm. Suppose you are investing much of your time in your study in order to secure good marks in the university examination. In the same way, every finance manager of a company used to do the capital budgeting, because capital budgeting helps taking decisions which particular proposal will be beneficial for the firm in future or which will be not beneficial. Finally, the main objectives as we have discussed, we can say this basically the lecture will cover the number of questions as mentioned on the slide, like what do you mean by capital budgeting, and explain the importance of capital budgeting, what are the importance of what are the advantages of capital budgeting, and what the basically purpose of capital budgeting, and what are the features of it, discuss the methods of capital budgeting, and explain the discounting cash flow method of capital budgeting, because this particular discounting cash flow method is there in your syllabus. There are two methods of capital budgeting. One is discounting cash flow method and there is non-discounting cash flow method. So discounting cash flow method is in your syllabus and non-discounting is the traditional method that is not in your syllabus as per the current syllabus of AKTU. And the next one is what are the techniques under the discounting cash flow methods, and what are the steps involved in computing net present value techniques of capital budgeting, or discuss the advantages, limitations of net present value, and what do you mean by internal rate of return, explain the computation using a suitable examination or the example, how the project are selected and rejected using this particular method, internal rate of return, and which method is better, whether the NPV or IRR. So, what the profitability indexes, and explain the rules of selection and rejection of a project using profitability index technique. The last, I would let you know exactly how the manager takes projects under consideration. Suppose the manager finance has decided and calculated the profitability index, and the result from the profitability index comes like this is greater than 1 or this is less than 1 or pi is equal to 1. So which one is to be selected by the manager finance? Okay. I think you are getting my points very clearly, and definitely this lecture will make you expert of capital budgeting. So, what the meaning of what the meaning of capital budgeting? Capital budgeting basically is such an important method of analyzing and comparing the substantial future investments, including expenditures, to determine which one are the most worthwhile. Finally, each project is ranked by its potential future returns, so the company management can choose which one to invest in first. Like you have 3-4 investment proposals. One is you are going to invest to be 10 lakh rupee in a shoe company. Second, you are going to invest the same amount of 10 lakh rupee in making some the components of shoe industry. Third is you are going to make some business of the shoe, like the component is leather. So other things must remain same. But the thing is, you just need to rank the potential future returns and to take the right decision which project will be better for you after investing this particular amount of 10 lakh rupee. So you would definitely be able to take a right decision on the basis of capital budgeting and after getting a knowledge from this lecture. Next is what the purpose of capital budgeting is. So it makes you very clearly understand that the purpose of capital budgeting will be providing to predict of revenues and expenditures over the time and future. And capital budgeting is most involved in ranking projects and raising funds when long-term investment is taken into account. Because every capital budgeting consists of or includes the long-term decisions and the long-term capital investments. Because short-term capital investment is not considered under the capital budgeting. Okay, because this is an investment, and investment is definitely for the long time and in the heavy funds. Capital budgeting basically allows the management to choose very wisely amongst the several investment opportunities available with. And features of capital budgeting also can be discussed, like it has a long term effect, as we just discussed just 2 minutes back. Such decisions have a very long term effect on the future profitability of a firm, because the profitability definitely will influence the pace of firm growth. I mean, how much the growth will be there of the firm. If you have taken the costly funds from the market, you have raised the costly loans or the funds from the market, definitely the pace of growth will be slow, or vice versa. So high degree of risk, because there will be a very high degree of risk in the future. The funds are in a very large amount. Definitely, if the decision is not taken wisely, you may have, or you may go to face the timing off, or the a kind of situation of risk, and funds are used, or and the irreversible decisions, definitely once the decision is taken by the manager or by the firm, it cannot be reversed, because it's a very serious decision. So every manager has to take a very seriously this kind of decision. So most difficult decision, because it's a most difficult. It takes a lot of calculations while you are going to take decision regarding the whether the project is to be selected or not. So it has a lot of calculations. You have to devote a lot of time. Every manager has to devote a lot of time in taking such kinds of decisions on the basis of different techniques. impact of firm's future competitive strength as well, and impact of cost structure. Basically, there are benefits of capital budgeting. So many advantages are there because capital budgeting helps understand what kinds of risks are involved in the investment opportunities in this particular project which we are going to consider now, and this budgeting also helps the how these risks can be reduced. Okay, I think these all benefits are there, these all advantages will be there from the capital budgetings. Like it also helps the company to estimate which investment option would give the maximum return in the time desired. It also helps the company or the firm to make long-term strategic investments. It also helps the company in the competitive market what kinds of investments should be taken or should be chosen. Capital budgeting basically presents the ideas like the investment would increase the value of company or the value of firm or will not. So definitely whatever the capital budgeting we are going, so we must take a very serious decision regarding this. If the investment proposal is really helpful and will increase the wealth of the company, then we should go to choose it, otherwise not. Capital budgeting techniques basically these budgeting techniques are generally called the investment decisions, and discounting cash flows and non-discounting cash flows. There are two methods of calculating the capital budgeting, and opportunity cost of capital is one of the important part in this we have to consider while calculating. So this it is the lost opportunity. What capital opportunity cost of capital? This is the lost opportunity on the capital that is being invested in the project. Suppose you have 5 acres of land and you are a farmer. This will be your own decision whether the total land is to be used for the weeds, or the 50% is to be used for the wheat and 50% is to grow the rice. So this basically one is I mean the opportunity you have to leave or you have to forego, and another you just need to choose. So the rate of return that an organization could have earned if not invested in the current project, if you have not done the 50-50 or you have not used the entire land, the 50% for the wheat or 50% for the rice, definitely one is the alternative foregone and you are going to choose the 100% for the wheat or the 100% for the rice. So one alternative foregone which you have left, that is basically called opportunity cost of capital. In the simple words we can say it is such a rate of return that every organization willing to lose in an expectation to earn more by investing in this project. So this basically is the very clearly we have defined, and I have defined and we can say the both these methods, discounted cash flow method and non-discounted cash flow method. The discounted cash flow method we discussed in this lecture. So it consists of three basically techniques. The technique first is net present value technique, second is internal rate of return, and third is profitability index. Using these methods or using these all techniques under the particular method, you would definitely be able to calculate the investment proposals and to take decision rightly. Net present value considers basically the time value of money. So in the very first unit of financial management, we just have learned a lot about the what time value of money is. Time value of money basically is computed into the two kinds. One is the future value of money, and another is present value of money. So the same topic has been, a few things are there in this particular topic. We just have discussed in the very first unit of your syllabus. So using the different kinds of example, definitely suppose you are going to invest 100 rupee in a bank, today, and the expected earning from this, I mean the saving account will be 8% per annum. What will be the future value of rupee 100 for the first, fifth, and 15th year? Definitely, you can apply the very simple formula what we have just learned in first unit. So, future value of money will be equal to present value of money multiplied by 1 plus k to the power n. The formula at that time was 1 plus I to the power n, but here because we are studying the cost of capital, or we are studying basically opportunity cost of capital. So opportunity cost of capital is denoted with k, so the formula will be 1 plus k to the power n. After 1 year, we just have applied the formula and put the value in this formula. Definitely we are going to see the answer on the screen, that is 108 rupee will be there after 1 year. You will be getting from the saving account if you have deposited 100 rupee in a bank, and after 5 years you would be going to take 146 rupee after the 5 years of period, and after 15 years you will be going to take 317.22. So finally these kinds of calculations are to be done after or in this particular lecture, or calculating the capital budgeting. Present value also the same. If the future value is given with us, how much you just want to have the money in your hands after 5 years, after 15 years, after 1 year. Basically, if you have in your knowledge, you just want to have 500 rupee after 1 year in your hands. So how much is to be invested today if the return on investment is annually given value? So the formula will be same for the to be applied by you. So net present value is a very important technique. It basically this technique is always the put as an the question by the AKTU, Dr. Abdul Kalam Technical University, in several papers of university, what NPV is and what are the steps which are performed calculating capital budgets and investment proposals, how the projects are selected and rejected using this particular NPV technique. So technique is basically based on the discounting cash flow methods, and which explicitly recognizes the time value of money, as we just discussed just half a minute back. In this technique, all cash inflows and outflows are converted into the present value. This will be the very first step in this technique. Definitely, we have to convert all the cash inflows and all cash outflows into the present value of money. And NPV is obtained by subtracting the present value of cash outflows from the present value of cash inflows. So whatever we will be getting from the business in coming years, definitely all the cash inflows are to be converted into the present value. So all present values, the sum of all present values is to be utilized in the formula, and the total cash outflow or the initial investment is to be deducted from it. Definitely you will be getting an answer of net present value. The rule of acceptance of whether the business or whether the proposal is to be accepted or rejected. So this is very simple. Symbolically we can say, if the net present value calculated is greater than the 0, definitely you can accept the proposal. If the net present value is less than 0, you can reject the proposal. Otherwise, if the net present value is equal to 0, definitely it is up to you. You have to take your wise decision. Either the project is to be accepted or rejected. What basically is NPV is, and how it is computed, how does it help in project selection? We just learn a few examples using this particular technique. Suppose the first example we are going to share with is, suppose a sum of rupee 4 lakh invested today in a IT project may give a series of below cash inflows in future. In the very first year you will be getting 70,000 from this particular project. In second year you will be getting 1,20,000 rupee. In third year 1,40,000. Fourth year 1,40,000. And fifth year you will be getting 40,000 only. If the opportunity cost of capital is 8%, I mean again I am going to let you know this is the K, because opportunity cost of capital is to be denoted with help of K. So this is 8% per annum. Then should we accept or reject the project? Using the same calculation we just have discussed, the formula is to be taken under the consideration. This particularly will be the formula of future value is equal to PV1 plus K to the power n. So by using this particular formula you will be going to calculate the answer, calculate the present value of first, second, third, fourth and all the years. Okay, first, so 70,000 is to be computed because this is the future value of money. The future value of money is to be converted into the present value of money first. Okay, so all these future value of money are to be converted into the present value of money. Second, the total of the present value is to be done, and will be calculated after deducting the present value of cash outflow. Whatever the investment is done by you in a particular IT project, that was the 4 lakh rupee. So 4 lakh rupees to be deducted from the sum of the present value of cash inflows. And the calculation will be like this. You will find the total cash inflows in present value will be the 4,08,959 rupee. So the same amount is to be utilized in the formula, and the 4 lakh what we have initially invested in the business is to be deducted from. So you will find the net present value is 8,959. Definitely the money is more than 0. So finally your answer should be from your side, the manager or the company should accept the proposal because the net present value is positive. I mean the net present value is more than 0. Next question, we again is going to utilize the same question, but the opportunity cost of capital we will calculate in this question will be the 15%. After having this particular rate of opportunity cost of capital, definitely the formula will remain same, but the opportunity cost of capital K will be denoted with K is to be taken as a 15%. Definitely there may be the different answer of using 15% of K. So definitely you will find the present value of all cash flows will be 3,43,591. Now you are going to see the initial investment you have done in the IT project, it was 4 lakh rupee. So 3,43,591 is very below to the initial investment. Definitely the NPV will be negative because the value will be negative and the negative value will be 56,408. Finally you have to take a decision like if the NPV is negative, so the company should never choose the project in case if the net present value is less than 0. Okay. Therefore, NPV is very much dependent on the discount rate. I mean the discount rate in this particular question we have discussed that is 15%, and the previous one we have discussed 8%. This was the 8%. Okay, 8%. So finally we can say this is one of the very important factor which basically change the NPV of every project. Next one is what are the advantages of net present value technique. So advantages of net present value you have learned because it helps to recognize the time value of money, and this is the scientific approach, and there is no traditional way to calculate this all. I mean to making investment proposals, to taking right decision regarding the investment proposals, and all the cash flows are spread over the entire life of the projects and used for the calculations. Not even the single cash inflow is left during the calculation or computation of net present value. So it is the consistent with the objectives of maximizing the welfare of owners. So finally we can say it helps maximize the owners funds or the wealth of owners. This is very important technique of utilizing or taking decisions regarding investment proposals. So what are the and another topic is in this subtopic in this topic is the what maybe the disadvantages of an NPV technique. So this method is comparatively difficult to understand. We can say this method is comparatively difficult because a lot of calculation is there, but not too much. Okay, not too much. When the projects in consideration involve different amounts of investment, the NPV techniques may not give satisfactory results because as you have seen, the very first example it was with 8% of opportunity cost of capital, and the second example we have solved it was with 15% cost of capital and 8% cost of capital it was there, then definitely the net present value was positive and we can choose or we can take the decision regarding acceptance for the investment proposal. Otherwise, if the cost of opportunity cost of capital is more than is near about double to 8, this was 15%, definitely it makes the NPV down and less than 0, definitely you won't be going to calculate or you won't be going to choose the project as a future. For the future, internal rate of return, IRR is basically the time adjusted rate of return method. This is based also the discounted cash flow methods, and this is such an important rate which makes NPV of the investment is equal to 0. According to Horn and Foster, IRR, internal rate of return, is the rate of interest at which the present value of expected cash inflows from the project equals the present value of expected cash outflows of the project. It means if the initial cash or the initial funds invested in the business have been deducted from the cash inflows, present value of cash inflows, the total cash inflows, the value will be equal to 0. NPV should always be 0. Okay. So IRR is considered as the highest rate of interest which a business is able to pay on the funds borrowed to finance the project out of cash flows generated by the project. This particular there is a very simple formula to calculate the internal rate of return. Internal rate of return is basically computed on the basis of this formula. Net present value of lower rate is to be divided by net present value of lower rate minus net present value of higher rate, and this is to be multiplied with higher rate minus lower rate. And after using this formula, you will be definitely able to calculate the internal rate of return. Internal rate of return, basically, as we have discussed, this is a discount rate at which the NPV becomes 0. It has to keep in your mind, you just need to keep in your mind, if the NPV is equal to 0, then definitely IRR is correct, otherwise IRR is not correct. Okay, and in other words we can say internal rate of return is the opportunity cost at which the net present value becomes 0. So the opportunity cost of capital is the highest value of how much you can gain from the project after sacrificing the one project from. Okay, so why the IRR, what is the use of IRR? So definitely different kinds of answers will be given using this particular technique, and there would be a proper relationship between the internal rate of return and net present value, as we have discussed that if the NPV, because every time you will find very clearly IRR is the opportunity cost of capital at which NPV becomes 0. So thus again, if the NPV is equal 0, so IRR is equal cost of capital, opportunity cost of capital. So this provides the minimum return, this provides the minimum return. Probably reject from the cash flow perspective, other factors could be important. If the IRR is less than internal rate of return is less than the opportunity cost of capital, definitely NPV will also be less than 0. So finally the project is not to be selected or it is to be rejected. And in case if the internal rate of return is more than the opportunity cost of capital, so finally NPV will definitely be more than 0 and the project is to be accepted for the future investments. Okay, would the relationship, we just have discussed the relationship between the IRR and the NPV, and again we are going to utilize a question to discuss a question using IRR. You know, the cost of a project is 1000, it has a time horizon of 5 years. 5 years you will start from now and 5 years will be continue, and the expected year wise incremental cash flows will be like 200, 300, 300, 400 and 500. So you just need to calculate the internal rate of return of the project if the opportunity cost of capital is 12%. This is one of the very difficult method, so you have to take care very seriously how the internal rate of return is to be computed. Internal rate of return will be calculated on the basis of net present value using the net present value formula for the 5 years. Definitely first you need to, the cash inflows are 200, 300, 300, 400 and 500 respectively for between the period of 1 to 5th year. So definitely all the cash inflows are to be converted into the cash present value of cash inflows. So present value of cash flows will be this, the future value into 1 plus I to the power n. So I to the power I is to be replaced with cost of capital or the opportunity cost of capital. So to PV into 1 plus, so PV will be calculated on the basis of future values to be divided by 1 plus k to the power n. So this will be the present value for the rupee will be 1.1 to 1.2544 and so for rupee 1. Definitely the value of rupee 1 in the future is to be multiplied with the future, so should be divided by the amount of rupee 1. So the present value for the future cash flows will be, cash inflows will be these. Okay, so this is to be total. Okay, we just need to make it total. Definitely you will say the total cash inflow will be 1169 and cash outflow means what you have invested in the business was 1000 rupee. So definitely the difference between if the cash inflows, total cash inflow, the present value of cash inflows is this much, and the cash outflow is to be deducted from, so answer will be 169. So 169 will be NPV and NPV is positive. Still you are going to see on the screen the NPV is not equal 0, but if you are going to calculate the value of internal rate of return, the NPV should be 0, NPV should be equal to 0. So we again have to make our calculation to calculate the same. We just need to increase the discount rate or increase the opportunity cost of capital. Okay, again we are going to increase the cost of capital and going to calculate it at the rate of 15%. Definitely at 5%. This was the example at 5%. Opportunity cost of capital it was 12%. So IRR we are going again to calculate at the rate of 15%. Again you will find the cash inflows, present value of cash inflows are 1075. If the amount of cash outflow or the initial investment is deducted from this amount, the net present value will be 75. Again the net present value is not equal to 0. So we again are going to calculate with another amount of opportunity cost of capital, that is 17.7, and you will find the total present value of cash inflows is equal to 1000.2488 rupee, and the cash outflow or the initial investment was also 1000 rupee. Now you are able to see on the screen this is very close to 0. So now this is the NPV is equal to 0, as we have discussed in the last slides. If the value of net present value of money is equal to 0, definitely IR will be right. So thus the NPV at 17.7% rate is 0. It indicates that the present value of gas inflows is equal to the present value of gas outflows. Thus, the internal rate of return will be 17.7% for the project under review. But if you have not, calculated on the basis of the opportunity cost of capital like 17.7, you also go for the 17.8. So you will find the internal, I mean the total cash inflows or the present value of total cash inflows will be less than 1000 rupees. So this will be negative. Finally, the answer will not be right, because we have to try, or we have to put all our efforts to make NPV equal to 0. Finally, we can say the amount, the calculation is to be done on the 12%, 15%, 13%, 14%, 15%, 17 and 18%. Where the NPV will be equal to 0, you will stop your calculation and will find the right answer. This is the IRR. So finally, after calculating this, IR, internal rate of return, you are going to see a very clear graph on the screen. In this case, in case of mutually exclusive projects, if net present value and internal rate of return suggest two different projects, we should choose a project with a higher net present value, NPV, because NPV is better than internal rate of return, because a positive net present value indicates the addition to the shareholders' wealth. Because NPV, if the NPV is positive, definitely the wealth of shareholders will increase. Otherwise, if the NPV is negative, definitely the shareholders will not be able to increase their value of the shares in the market. So this thumb rule cannot be applied to IRR. You can see the internal rate of return will be on this particular axis, where the positive and negative will not be there, but the cost of capital will be here. Okay, and the NPV will be higher than the IRR. What are the advantages of IRR? Definitely, after studying and using the different case studies, we are able to give the right answer of advantages of internal rate of return. This is such a popular technique under discount cash flow method, because it considers the time value of money. It considers the time value of money, because time value of money is properly taken care as because this method is basically totally based on the calculation of net present value. It also considers the cash flows over the entire life of the project, because the total present value of cash inflows are to be taken under consideration, and the initial investment in the project is to also be taken care. So it makes more meaningful and acceptable to users, because it satisfies them in terms of rate of return on capital. So this basically a kind of the cost of capital, or the opportunity cost of capital, which is higher. And what are the disadvantages of what will be the limitations of internal rate of return? The limitations, basically we can say the internal rate of return is quite difficult to understand, because this calculation creates a lot of problem. Every time we have to calculate the different kinds of to take a different kinds of, we just need to assume the first time we have to apply 8%, second time the discount rate applicable should be 9%, third time it should be 10%, till the net present value is 0. We have to make all our calculations. So this is totally based on the rectifications, and totally based on the finding answers by making some adjustments and so. So IRR cannot be distinguished between the lending and borrowings, and hence the IRR, internal rate of return, needs not necessarily be desirable feature. A third technique of the discounting cash flow method is the profitability index. This is denoted with or abbreviated with PI, and is also known as a cost benefit cost ratio. So profitability index may either be the gross or the net. Suppose every question will definitely let you know the gross profitability index. If the gross profitability index is the 10, you just need to deduct only 1 out of gross profitability index. You will find the net profitability index. So after subtracting 1 from the gross profitability index, the result will be profitability index net. Okay, and the formula of profitability index will be profitability index is basically present value of cash inflows to be divided by initial cash outflows, or the present value of cash inflows to be divided by initial investment. It is also very simple to calculate. So how the selection of a project is to be done on the basis of or applying the profitability index technique. So here you just need to understand it also very clearly, like NPV, present value of all future and cash inflows are to be divided by the initial cash outflows, as we have discussed in this particular line. The present value, the profitability index will be equal to present value of total cash inflows to be divided by cash outflow, initial investment in the business. So finally, if again the present value of all future inflows is greater than the initial investment made by you in the business, definitely the profitability index will be more than 1. So finally, if the profitability index is more than 1, definitely you will be going to accept the project like the NPV, and if it is less than 1, definitely you will be going to reject. Okay, and if the profitability index is equal to 1, means the present value of all future cash flows or cash inflows is equal to initial investment which is made by you in the business, definitely it is up to you whether you may go to accept the project or not. So for a project with NPV is greater than 0, PI is always greater than 1, because in NPV we have seen if the net present value becomes more than 0, definitely the PI will be more than 1, because the formula is very clearly given in this particular present value basically is the present value of all cash inflows is to be divided by the initial cash investment in the business. Again, you can solve the different kinds of examples and you will find the answer of, suppose you are going to invest in a company 25,000 rupees today, and this may give a series of cash inflows in the future as described. So you just need, if the required rate of return is 12% per annum, what will be the profitability index? Again, you just need to calculate the present value of all cash flows accordingly. For the first year, you will find 1 plus k to the power 1 for the second, and 1 plus k to the power 2. So the present value of rupee 1 will be different for each year, and the amount of cash inflows is to be divided by the present value of rupee 1 in each year. Okay, so definitely you will be able to see the answer on the screen. The total cash inflows will be 26,814, and this amount is to be divided by 25,000. So you will be going to see the answer on the screen. The right answer is 1.07. Finally, PI, the profitability index is more than 1. So if the profitability index is more than 1, definitely you can go to choose the, or you can go to accept the proposal of the investment. If the required rate of return is 12%, what will be the profitability index? Definitely it was the 12%, and again you may go to see the required rate. If the required rate is 13%, so again the calculation is to be done on the basis of 13%. The present value is to be computed accordingly. You will find the this is 1.04. Again you can say yes, will analyze while ranking the project because PI, profitability index is more than 1. If you suppose you have more than 3-4 proposals, investment proposals, so you just take your decision on the basis of the analysis which projects will generate maximum cash inflows and the maximum the best for the shareholders. Definitely you will be going to choose as a proposal or choose as a investment proposal. Next is on the basis of 15% rate of return. Definitely you can go to calculate the profitability index. By using this particular rate of index, you will be going to see the profitability index will be 0.9974. So this basically is the PI is less than 1. So it's a but at the same time you can see it's a very close to 1. It's a very close to 1. So PI indicates less than 1. Okay. Definitely you have seen, or we just have discussed in the same lecture, if the value of profitability index is less than 1, you must always reject the proposal. But this is less than 1 but is very close to 1, so the project is not beneficial and must be rejected. Or other, if the other proposals are there with you and they are not creating more wealth for the shareholders, sometimes you may go to choose this one, because this is here in this particular case there is a dilemma, because both the situation are there, the profitability index is less than 1 and at the same time profitability index is going to be very close to 1, so it's a situation of dilemma. What will be the advantages of profitability index? There will be several advantages of profitability index. It basically recognizes the time value of money like the NPV and the IRR for calculations when the compared, okay, when we compare the internal rate of return method, it requires less time. It takes very less time as compared to internal rate of return. It helps in ranking the projects for investment decisions, as the method is capable for calculating the incremental benefit cost ratio. It can be used to choose the between mutual exclusive projects. It depends on which is the mutually exclusive. And again, this is the payback period. This is not in a syllabus as per the AKTU, so we are not going to calculate and to discuss this all. Next is, but it must be in our knowledge how the payback period is to be computed and what the use of payback period is. Payback period basically is and kind of the thing, how much the time, what the amount we are going to invest in a business, the business will take to return us back. So finally, in this case, constant annual if the cash flows are the constant, and even in case the cash flows are uneven. So there may be the two situations. The constant, if it is constant, or the all cash inflows in the future are equal, definitely the investment, payback period will be calculated on the basis of total initial investment. Initial investment divided by annual cash flows. So you will find if the 40,000 is to be invested by you in the business, and 10,000 per annum you are getting from this business as a future cash inflows, definitely it will take hardly, or it will take actually 4 years to pay you back the total amount you have invested in a business. So this is a kind of payback period example I just have discussed with you. And this is the in case of the uneven or the unequal cash inflows, definitely the formula is to be changed. So finally the formula will be the payback period will be calculated on the basis of the cumulative cash inflows. The cash flows are 16, 14, 8 and 6. So these are to be cumulated. You will find the 38,000 are recovered into the third year, and in fourth year we are going to recover only 6,000 rupees. So 38 I mean the 3 year plus 6,000 is to be recovered into the fourth year. Finally, we just need to recover the 2,000 in the fourth year. So 2,000 amount is to be divided by 6,000, and this the calculation of it is to be added into the 3 year. This will be the right answer. So the payback period will be 3.33 year, and this in case of unequal annual cash inflows, definitely you will be able to calculate the payback period as well. Even this is not, in your syllabus, but another important example I'm going to share with you is, suppose, what will be the payback period if Mr. Sasi Ranjan generates the money like 5,000, 9,000, 10,000, 10,000, 3,000 respectively in first, second, third, fourth and fifth years after investing a sum of 25,000 in a marketing project today. So finally, we just need to take care very seriously. The second example we just have discussed now the uneven cash flows. Again, the Mr. Sasi has invested 25,000 rupees today in a marketing project. So finally, how much time he will take to recover the total amount invested in the business? He will take accordingly the cash flow. The total cash inflows are to be cumulated accordingly. So finally you will see he is getting 5, 9, 10, 10, 10. So finally he is getting 34,000 rupee, 24,000. He is going to recover 24,000 within 3 years. So 25,000 are to be recovered. So the difference of rupee 1,000 is to be calculated. 1000 is to be calculated on the basis of 1000 to be divided by the 10,000, because in the fourth year the project will give you a cash info 10,000 rupees, so there will be a kind of answer. I mean the 833 rupee. So it will take nearly 3 year and 1 month plus to recover all your investment in the business. Advantages of so this basically is not a part of this level, definitely. That's why I'm not going to let you know this all. And at last I would like to say you the recapping of this session is you have learned a lot of things in this particular session. The important thing you have done is capital budgeting techniques, capital budgeting methods, and the methods, how many types of capital budgeting techniques are there in the particular methods. And you have learned the discounted cash flow methods and non-discounted cash flow method. Non-discounted cash flow method we have discussed the single line and the 3 examples of payback period. And you also have learned how the computation of future value and present value is to be done, and how the net present value is calculated, how the internal rate of return calculated, and how the profitability index is to be computed, and how these all techniques are effective choosing or rejecting the investment proposals. Friends, I would like to see you at the end of this lecture, because the lecture is going to be over. Please don't forget to use your index finger to subscribe the channel and wait for the next video to be posted by me. Thank you so much, and be happy. Thank you.